Alright, we're going to be watching Nomajejo, who's going to be playing Winston, D.Va, Zarya, and Sigma. This is Numbani, Platinum 5 on PC. Game was really hard. I feel like I could do more and I'm missing info. I think I performed leagues better on D.Va versus Sigma, and I think my Zarya is also one of my stronger champs. I am totally lost on Sigma. Any insights will be very useful, as they were for my Tracer VOD that got me from Gold 2 to Diamond 5. Help, please, and thank you. So, folks might remember this name. So we previously reviewed some of their Tracer gameplay, and ended up being pretty helpful. So they got from Gold 2 all the way to Diamond 5. We had a conversation about it outside of the post. And one of the things I want to note here is, like, yes, VOD review can obviously help folks a lot, but, you know, there's, especially for DPS, there's a lot of mechanical skill involved. I think for Nomajejo, like, it's somewhat unusual where people have, like, great aim, but they don't have good game sense, and I think those players climb the fastest by far, and to some extent also benefit the most, at least in the short term, from replay review, right? Because they're like, hey, look, I'm absolutely dumpstering everybody in one-on-ones, but I still lose games. Why do I lose? And that's where VOD reviews can be extremely helpful for someone who like understands the game. Be like, oh, well, it's because of this, and this reason, right? I think that if your mechanics are a huge problem, then VOD review tends to be less helpful, because it's like, oh, this is what you should do here, and even if they try to do it, you can't convert the kill, you can't hit a heal dart or whatever, sleep, whatever it ends up being. There's a limit as to how far that'll take you. So, you know, obviously, congratulations to them to climb, what is it, 2, 7, 8 ranks or whatever. So, you know, really big accomplishment. And it's something that can happen with VOD review, but not for everyone. And I don't want to make that an expectation that someone's gonna be like, oh, they're gonna get a VOD review and suddenly go up like 8 ranks is unlikely. Unless your aim is already really good, like mechanically. You know, VOD review can definitely help, but that's a lot of change to see in only less than a month or something. It's a lot of climb. Anyway, let's talk about this game. So, from conversations I've had with the player, they are, you know, they feel good about where they've kind of gotten in DPS. They want to spend some time on tank, and they're trying to figure out which tanks they're going to play. So this game is interesting because you're going to end up playing 4 tanks here, and in the interest of time, I'm going to be relatively concise on those tanks, right? So as opposed to, like, if this was replay review on one hero on Winston, I could spend an hour plus just talking about Winston, right? So if you do 4 heroes, I could spend 4 hours talking about each one of those heroes, but I'm not, because it's like a crazy amount of time. So I kind of go through a lot more of the basics, etc., of like kind of what's going wrong with your gameplay, like what's right, what's wrong, right? How to improve. But just note that there's still going to be a lot of stuff that I'm still going to be holding back, just because. We're going for breadth here instead of depth, which I think is helpful right now as you try to figure out which tanks do you want to end up playing. So, we're going to start here in Winston. You're going to go coast side, which is totally fine. And as you go out here, you're going to jump up top left. So, one of the first things I'll note, and it's something that people are relatively unfamiliar with from playing, at least over playing tank, is you need to look to figure out where your team is, and in particular, where your main support is, right? Who is the one main healer? Who is the one who's going to be healing you when you die, if you're expecting healing at all. So in this scenario, your Ana is the one who's following, right? Which is actually totally fine. I think it's actually, you know, no problem at all for the Ana to go in this way. It's somewhat unusual to go coast side to start. I think I often like going main to just figure out where people are, but it's fine to go this side. That's not strictly an issue. So our thinking here is that we're going to dive, right? And then Winston engages are interesting, and I could write a very long essay on it, and I've done many videos on it. But the general idea is when you dive is do not expect that your first dive is going to win the fight, right? It will when you're significantly stronger than the opposing team, right? When you're climbing up, maybe after this VOD review, you know, you'll find the right opportunities. But generally speaking, do not expect that your first dive is going to win the fight, right? I would say it almost never happens at higher level play. So you're going to do some sort of dive, you're going to do some damage, right? Pop, blah, 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 and then you're going to leave. And when you leave, you're going to need to get healing. So the question is, where do I go get healing from, right? So Winston goes, you know, you go in, right? And then you go back out after your dive, right? You go in, you go out, you go in, you go out. And you're just going to do that kind of general pattern over and again, right? You go in, you reset, you go in, you reset. I will also note something called staging, where you have to go one place first and then dive and then come back to your team. This can happen in a lot of maps and positionings where you don't have a good straight line dive. But let's not worry about that right now. Because this is pretty easy, right? You're going to dive in, and where do I go? Well, you need to get someplace where you're going to get healing, okay? So obviously, nowhere over here you're going to get healing. Right? This is all the enemy backline, there's no healing here, you're just going to die. So you come back here in main and try to get the Mega, but the problem is a lot of enemy heroes will be able to see main, and you'll probably die. So the other option is, I can come back here. this is totally safe. There's a mega health pack here, my Ana's here. So this is good for all sides, right? My Ana has something to do. I get healed up really quickly. I don't need to go very far. There's like no risk. Like no one's gonna chase you if you jump down here and get a mega. Like this thing's not gonna drop and chase you and kill you, right? That's not gonna happen. So this is the best scenario. You jump up here and you should come back down. The problem is I don't think you're looking because we never see you look at where and try to figure out where your Ana is, right? Like at no moment in time is the Ana on your screen. So I'm pretty sure you actually don't realize the Ana is next to you. So when you go for this dive, right? And you're zapping, right? You put down blah, blah, blah. You've already done quite a few things wrong here. But you notice that you drop here. And of course, there's another option where you could walk in here and get the mega. This is also very dangerous because it's a very slow walk in here and you can't jump to speed it up because of the low ceiling. So like Junkrat could jump down here and kill you. Ana could sleep you and nade you. Like there's a lot of things that can go wrong here. So you drop down and you go this way. But you see your Ana's like, wait, what the heck? And then you're going to go this way and you're going to kind of panic and jump all the way back over here. And this is all a massive waste of time. And I want to show you from your Ana's perspective how frustrating this is for your Ana. So your Ana's here, right? She's ready to go, right? She's ready to help, right? She could damage if somebody's there, right? She pockets you, okay, you're purple. And then she's like, okay, cool. And then she just leaves because what can she do? Right? You've rotated all the way over here, and Ana's like, oh, I guess we're going all the way over here. This is very confusing for your team, right? Especially your supports. You need to think through how do they want you to play and how can they best help you, right? It's a very synergistic relationship between you and whoever your main healer is. Who is the one who's going to keep keeping you up, right? Ana and Winston is an amazing combo. You need to maintain LOS on your Ana. You're not at risk of dying anyway. You could just walk back to your Ana and be totally fine. So that's the first thing, is thinking about maintaining LOS on your supports. Number 2, let's look at your dive angle, okay? So when you dive, let's kind of, too bad this tree's in the way. I'm going to show you the dive angle right here, okay? So let's, actually I don't think there's a way for me to, yeah, maybe I can do this. Yeah, okay, so from here, okay, let's look at your dive. That worked out pretty well. Okay. So, why am I talking about this? What's the point? This is a really bad dive angle. Okay? As a general rule for Winston, you actually want as little airtime as possible. So we can see this parabolic arc where you go really high and then come back down, and it takes you a really long time to land. This is bad for multiple reasons. Number 1, the longer you're in the air, the easier it is to hit you. Okay, you're moving very predictably, but you're also very high up. So heroes that, for example, here down here can hit you while you're at the top of your arc, but they can't hit you at the bottom of the arc. Right? That's number 1. Number 2 is it takes longer to get to the target and start dealing damage. So you're out of range of them, right? When you're higher up, because you're up here, you can't zap them, they're too far away. And, you know, by the time you land, they might have moved away from you, and so you're not getting your full landing damage either, which is really important. Remember, Winston does 50 damage on impact, right? But it falls off, so you want the 50 in the center, right? If you land on the outside, you're only going to get like 10 damage or whatever. You want to make sure that you get them in the center as close as you possibly can to get that extra damage, which makes a big difference on Winston. That's number 2. Number 3, the longer you're in the air, the longer it'll be before you can do something else, okay? So let's say that you did this dive in, okay? You do this, let's exaggerate a little more, right? You do this dive in like this. And let's say right here you figure out, okay, there's a bastion. Well, now you're screwed, right? Because as you jump up, he's going to turret form right here, and then by the time you land, you're going to be dead or nearly dead. Versus if you did what I'm suggesting, which is a nice quick jump, very low, right? You're going to be in the air for over a second less. And jump up, you're like, you realize the bastion, you immediately drop, right? That's huge. Okay? As a general rule, 95% of the time on Winston, you want to minimize airtime as much as possible. Which of course comes with, you need to understand, how do I jump to be able to clear it? Because if you mess up, you might, for example, go too low and you might slam into here, and that would be disastrous, right? But if you want to play Winston at a high level, you need to be like almost pixel perfect ability to jump from location to location as fast or as slow as you want it, right? That level of control, just like it's Tracer. You play Tracer, when you blink, you can't not know how far the blink will get you, right? If you're fighting a hero near edge, you can't think, oh, is this blink gonna send me over the edge? If you don't know, right? If you don't have that muscle memory already, then you're not going to be able to play as effectively as you could otherwise, right? Same deal for this scenario, right? You need to understand, how do I get good dive angles, good dive technique to be able to jump exactly where I want when I want to. right? Really, really, really important to everything that Winston. It's basically the only technique that he has, right? If you think about it, Primal Rage, it's just jumping correctly along with timed swings. So that's like really the only technique you need to learn Winston, but it has an enormously high skill ceiling as to like your ability to do it. Super, super important to like be able to jump at the right angle at the right time. But start with try to minimize air time as much as possible. There is 5% of the time where it actually is the right time to actually maximize air time. I don't want to cover that because it's like it's gonna be too complicated, and you try to think through, hey, is this one of those times? 95% of the time it will not be. So just think of it as minimizing airtime all the time, and when you get to like high diamond, we can talk again about when is the right time to maximize airtime versus minimizing airtime. Because again, it's a relative like in a single game, it might only come up like once or twice, if that. So it's not worth it. Okay, so we've talked through support LOS and we talked through dive timing. All right, so now we're here and we're zapping. As previously mentioned, you should just come back to your Ana. You're gonna jump over here. Again, there's a lot of scenarios where you can just get blown up here. So for example, if the Echo is paying attention right now, right, she hears the jump right now. She just looks up and she just flies up here and just beams you immediately. Because you just die, right? You're at 50% health. You just die right now to the Echo. Like, she'll kill you in 2 seconds. It's so fast here with no damage help whatsoever. So that's what I'm noting. It's like, you should die here. It's just you're playing at a level of right now where the enemy players are not good. And we're going to see it like over and over in this game where you're going to get away with stuff that you absolutely should not if this was like the same lobby as your Tracer gameplay. Like, the enemy players are just not good at all. Okay, you're going to zap the Echo right now. I would note here is, I guess it's fine to be zapping the Echo, but my priority here is to get off and then drop down and get healing. Because if like, if my Hanzo dies here, like so be it, but like I'm actually vulnerable to dying. And I don't think you realize that. You're like, oh, I'm okay. You're not okay. You're gonna die here. And the whole time I was thinking, like, if anything, I would have zapped her and then dropped as she started moving backwards to get the Mega. Because I absolutely should not die here. This is a really, really bad mistake. Right? This can't happen. You had a lot of opportunities here to not die and just simply leave. Right? You're trying way too hard. Like, the thing is, tanks are far more reliant on health than DPS are, right? As Tracer with 40 health, if you find the right flank, you could just one-clip somebody, right? Or nearly one-clip somebody and never take any damage, right? Or even blink and dodge around against somebody like, Junkrat or Cassidy, and maybe they whip some shots and you do a lot. Tanks can't do that. Tanks take constant amounts of damage, especially at higher ranks, where nobody will miss tanks, right? Accuracy on tanks for all heroes are going to be 75 to 100%. So you can't think, hey, I'm going to walk around here with 350 health and not die. I think you're going to die. Right? This is an unacceptable death. Alright, we're going to reset here. So, Winston, what are we good at? Well, as I mentioned, in a lot of my other gameplay, I don't know if you've ever watched any of my Winston VOD reviews, but I think they'd be very helpful because a lot of the stuff, concept are the same. Winston is the now second lowest DPS tank in the game. Right? Sigma's now below him because Winston's beam got buffed, right? But they're basically in the same category. Sigma does 73 or whatever, and Winston does 75 now. So 75 DPS is like nothing. So against tanks in particular, you don't even care. For perspective, turrets do 35 or 38 damage per second. So, and as a tank, you don't care about a turret. As Tracer, you do, but as a tank, you're like, I don't even notice that the turret is shooting at me, right? Annihilation, this 30 damage a second. Nobody cares about Annihilation as a tank. It just doesn't do anything. So as a Winston, you should always think, how do I attack people who care about my Tesla gun, right? Who care about 75 damage per second? Because the Sigma doesn't. I'm telling you, the Sigma does not care at all, right? Don't dive the Sigma, don't dive tanks unless the dive is part of a coordinated effort with your tank where you can bubble off healing and the tank is isolated and overextended and they can die. Other than that, you should basically never fight any tanks because every single tank in the game is better at fighting you than you are. I'm dead serious, right? Even Sigma, every single tank in the game, because Sigma has rock, right? Every single tank in the game is better at fighting you than you are at fighting them. So do not fight tanks, okay? It is not a good idea. There's some nuance here. There's a lot of nuance here. But as a general rule, at the level you're currently at, find squishy heroes, dive squishy heroes. Avoid tanks. Because what does this accomplish? Right? I think it's good that you say bubble. You're probably trying to force the Sigma back right now, right? That's probably your idea. It's like, oh, okay, let me force the Sigma back. But A, Sigma's not really doing anything. B, your Ana is dead. So just wait for the Ana. Like, there's nothing you can do right now. Like, you're not gonna be able to win this fight, probably, right? In a 4v5 situation. So you don't need to do any of this. Just chill, right? Just relax. Just play back, right? Don't farm any ultis. It's fine. And wait for your Ana. So, is your Ana back? No, your Ana's not back. What does that mean? Just wait. Just literally just wait. Just calm down, right? Play slow. Or your Ana switch to Kiriko even, right? And we see another really bad jump here, right? We can see the arc here, way too high, right? Whoa. Like, I would have landed long ago by now and already been like walking forwards or whatever it was. But either way, this is not the right time to be fighting. Because bubbles should be used to deal damage, okay? As a general rule, I kind of give this benchmark, right? Bubble should allow you to do more damage than you could if you didn't have the bubble, because the bubble allows you to stay in the fight longer, right? So if you got 0 to 50 extra damage with bubble, that's terrible, right? I would say that bubble is basically useless. If it's 50 to 100, that bubble is poor, right? So 50 to 100 damage is about 1 second of zapping. If it only buys you 1 second of zapping, that's no good. So that's an example of you jump into like a bastion, right? The bastion's gonna shred the bubble so fast that it like basically doesn't help you at all. 100 to 150 is okay. That's like kind of pretty much average value with a bubble. If I'm doing 150 damage, like 125-ish, that's like roughly a second and a half, 2 seconds of damage. That's like fine, right? That's like a pretty typical dive. It's a little easier now that the damage has been buffed. But 100 to 150, we're looking at okay. As a note, if you're zapping multiple targets, then you can get more damage faster, right? If I zap 2 targets for 1 second, that's 150 damage. So, like, multiple heroes helps this calculus a lot. When you're at 150 to 200, that is a good bubble, okay? That's a bubble that got a lot of value, right? Not, I wouldn't say tremendous value, but like above average value. If you're jumping consistently and getting 150 to 200 damage from a bubble and you're not dying, I'd say those are good bubbles and you're probably more likely to win fights than not. If you're going over 200 damage with a bubble, you're doing great. It is extremely difficult for the enemy team to deal with over 200 damage from every single bubble that you get. Right? It is a lot of damage. And keep in mind, that's just the bubble itself. So for example, if I jump into them and no one's attacking me, I don't need a bubble. And I might zap them for 2 seconds and do, let's say, 300 damage because nobody's looking at me. And then they turn, and then I put the bubble up, right, to protect myself, and I zap them more for another 300 damage, and I get out. So that may be, like, let's say 600 damage that I just did over the course of 4 seconds because, with good bubble usage and just jumping at the right time and being smart about it. Like, that's an overwhelming amount of damage to the opposing team, and it blows through their resources really, really quickly when you do stuff like that. So, looking at this bubble, how much damage does this bubble give you? Well, we jumped up, and 0 damage, right? This is an example of a complete fail. If I did this even once in a game at high ranks, I would assume I'm going to lose the fight. like it's absolutely critical to not whiff the bubbles. But the other thing is you're zapping right now because I presume you don't have a lot of experience with Winston. You are not even close to the target. You're not even 50% of the way to the target, right? You see how far it is to them? Like, you're not even close. So that's something that you have to learn is how far does your Tesla gun go? This is not close enough, and you need to learn that range real quick. Plus, you're not going to hit markers, so you should know. So you don't bubble, right? So you just chill, right? Just chill, get your bubbles, right? Find a target. So thinking about this right now, and it's funny because I actually have a Winston video. I think it's going to be linked in resources. I actually have a Winston video for Numbani, first point, where I talk about who should I dive right now, and I break it down in terms of like, oh, look at all the heroes, look at the positioning. Who should you dive for? Well, if you look at this lineup, you actually have basically only 2 options. Okay, the Echo is not worth diving. The Echo has a really low cooldown mobility, and she kind of moves out easily. That's fine. Option number 2, which is actually somewhat unusual, is you actually go after the Mercy. And it's not that you're actually going to do any meaningful amount of damage to the Mercy. The Mercy is going to fly away right away. But that's good, because when you jump onto the Mercy, what's the Mercy going to do? The Mercy is going to Guardian Angel across either this way or this way towards the Echo. One of the 2 ways. That means that your Ashe down here can actually get picks on the Mercy, because now she's in a Guardian Angel, and she's going to be stuck in the open. No matter what, she's going to be stuck in the open for over a second. Right? If she goes towards the Echo, she's going to be stuck in the open for over 2 seconds. So that's good, and you don't even need to use anything for it either. Because the Mercy is alone, and neither the Sigma nor the Junkrat can deal damage consistently to you that far away, you can jump onto the Mercy without even using Bubble. So you can jump onto the Mercy first, right? Then, like, force GA, play slow, right? Play kind of backside of point, play cover, whatever it is, wait for your jump, then jump wherever you need to go with the Bubble. That's an example of why that's actually a very strong jump. Now, you go for jump number 3, which is here, which is actually totally fine, right? I don't think this is a bad jump. I think this is completely fine, right? I think that you just need to understand that there is another possibility here, which is also quite strong. But, so the key thing is, we don't want to jump until we get healed up, okay? Every point of health is important for tanks, especially for armor, which armor is more valuable, right? You want to get healed up? Okay, great. You're healed up? Good. So now you jump up, you're in, great. There's 5 heroes here. Where's the Echo? Yeah, it's all 5. Yeah, so there's like a ton of heroes here, which is great. Now, this is where... Damn. I like the way I said I'm not going to take a long time, and I feel like I've already taken a long time, and this is just the Winston section. So, for the Winston jump, you need to decide when you're jumping in, how committed am I to this dive? A commitment means I'm like not jumping out. I am staying here until they die or I die. But as a reminder, most first dives do not result in fight-winning dives. So my perspective here is not, hey, I'm going to go in and try to chase down the Mercy. My perspective here is I just want to do some damage, kind of push them off a little bit, and then I want to retreat and reset back to my healers, the Mega, whatever it ends up being. So what that means is I'm looking to land like right here, and then, let me use another color, land right here, then immediately pop bubble, right? Then walk off high ground back to my team. That's the idea. I don't want to get overcommitted too far because that will put me in a lot of danger and I might end up dying. So one thing to note here is also you're going to want the bubble to be very early. And I could also spend like 20 minutes talking about bubbles. But remember, the bubble doesn't actually go exactly where you may want it to, right? The bubble is always going to be centered on you, and it's going to look like that. Which means if there's enemies inside the bubble, that's not good if the enemies can kill you. If the enemies can't kill you, then who cares, right? Like if it's a Symmetra without charge and a Widow, who cares? Like I don't care if they're in the bubble with me, right? But if it's like a Reaper and a Bastion, I definitely care if they're in the bubble with me. So you need to analyze, hey, look, what is the enemy lineup? How dangerous are they? And when do I put down the bubble? Because one of the things that you can do is that instead of putting the bubble down right here, right, basically right here at this moment in time, you can put the bubble down while you're in the air approaching the target, and then your bubble will end up looking like this. And we can see this is a better defensive bubble because it keeps the enemy on the outside of the bubble, which means there's no way that I can die here. If you land on them, then pop bubble, like as you land, they're going to be in the bubble, which means there's a possibility that they can turn and kill you here. So in this situation with the Junkrat and the Ana, I'm actually somewhat concerned that I could die here. So I'm doing a somewhat, not a super defensive one, like you could jump like all the way over here, like this corner if they were like a very scary lineup. But probably like a medium defensive bubble where I want to put down the bubble a little bit early, right? That way I can make sure that I don't get blown up to anything crazy. This bubble is very late, and you can see that you've already taken a ton of damage, right? Now, from this moment in time, you're able to drop off. But I'm saying if you drop that bubble earlier, right, and especially if you block the Ana grenade, you could have done a lot more damage here. Like this bubble is basically full health, right? We can see that the bubble is like totally shiny. So it's 400 health right now, right? So with 400 health, you could have stayed here a lot longer if you put the bubble further back. And think about it. This is 3 heroes right here. That's 225 damage a second. 1 second of zapping is devastating here. But, yeah. Too aggressive here. Another bad jump. I'm not even sure where you're trying. I think you were trying to go for the Ana, but I feel like you were just kind of panicking here post-sleep. But, like, you're good. Like, you could just jump in here, right? Land here, don't land on trap, right? Zap, 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 force the Ana low ground, and you've already done your job. But trying to go in like this and awkwardly landing right here is fatal. Right? If you don't have bubble and you jump in, you have to really know what you're doing. Jumping in without bubble, I think, is generally a bad idea. I would have just committed for that kill at that point. It's very unlikely that you should have gotten away from that, so I would have committed for the kill on the Ana. So as soon as the Echo starts flying at me, and I see beam, just put the bubble up, right? Like, you're half health right now, so the bubble was going to prevent her from killing you. You have 2 supports with you. Right? Now Winston's popped, and now everything has just gone terribly awry. Okay. So, I will note right now is, we have 2 minutes to go, and we have Primal Rage. Right? My team has 2 ultimates, they only have 1 ultimate, right? We have 2 more ultimates coming up, they have 2 more ultimates coming up, like, you have ult advantage right now. You should use Primal. And if you think, oh, I don't feel comfortable using Primal, like I don't feel confident that I can get kills with Primal, I think you need to practice Primal. If you're gonna play Winston, you need to get good at Primal Rage. Not great, no one's asking you to be fearless, right? But you need to get to the level where you can kill a 250 health hero with Primal Rage. Very consistently, right? You jump onto them, right? Then you pop Primal, you whack them, you jump onto them again, then you whack them, and then they're dead. Right? Like, that's the general pattern. At worst, it should be one more jump after that, and then they're dead. So that is something that you need to consistently be able to do against a target that has no healing and no other mobility in order to play Winston, even into like low diamond. Right? I would say arguably even high plat, this will be a problem if you can't do this. So that's kind of the benchmark here. If you're like, look, I'm playing a hero and I don't feel comfortable using Primal Rage, I'm going to switch off. What is the point of playing Winston to begin with? You either want to play Winston because you want to get good at him, or you don't want to play Winston, in which case don't bother and don't learn Primal Rage. And again, Primal Rage is a very hero-specific ability, right? It requires very specific muscle memory. It's one of the hardest, if not the hardest ultimate in the game. So, like, yeah, I mean, that's a reason where you're like, look, I don't want to learn Winston because I don't want to learn Primal Rage. That's fine. And you don't need to play Winston, right? I personally enjoy Winston. I think Winston's a great hero. But if you don't want to play Winston, that's totally fine. But, like, don't switch off if you have Primal Rage. Right? This is switching off, like, if you're Zarya, you grab, and you're like, what are you doing? And you're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable using grab. I'm like, well, then why are you playing Zarya? Like, you have ultimate here. You really need to use this ultimate. You're extremely lucky that you end up taking this next fight because your DPS pop off. So you end up going D.Va here, which is also fine. I don't think that D.Va's like so strong here, but I think that she's like fine. It's like totally playable. I don't see this lineup and think, oh, I gotta go D.Va here. Like, I guess you can sort of eat the spam from the Junkrat, but like you can't outbrawl the Sigma, right? The Sigma's not a valid dive target. You could sort of go after the Ana, right? Obviously she's a sleep dart, but you could eat that. The Echo has beam, right? She can also copy you, which is brutal. Echo copying D.Va is awful because D.Va is extremely tanky. The Matrix gives her a ton of value, and then she also, even if she loses her mech, she can re-mech very quickly. So D.Va is a very strong copy for Echo. Okay, so as D.Va, sort of the same idea as Winston, right? In the sense that you want to dive squishy targets, but the thing is that what's squishy to Winston is not necessarily squishy, or what's squishy to D.Va is not necessarily what's squishy to D.Va, right? D.Va does about 215 damage per second with her guns and missiles. Remember, Winston only does 75, right, with a 50 damage burst of the landing. So D.Va is massive, right? With missiles, she does 250 DPS. I think it's even more now that she got buffed, right? 215 plus for a second and a half. That is crazy burst potential damage, right? And it allows you to blow up squishies really easily. But you have no AoE damage. Like, your missile splash is like irrelevant, right? You have no area damage like Winston does. So you're not really incentivized to dive large groups of people. You really want to find isolated enemies. The fact that you have flexible movement compared to Winston is also way better. Winston's one big jump in, and then 5-6 seconds to be able to jump out, right? D.Va has boosters in every 4 seconds, but it gives you infinite mobility. You can go in any possible direction, right? Any axis, and with perfect control. That makes it a lot easier to hunt down enemies compared to Winston. But, so they pop Flux here. So obviously there's not really much that you can do about this. I would just try to DM, not me, but like anybody on my team who's like in trouble, but nobody's in trouble here, so this Matrix basically does nothing. Quick note here, get the Mega. Please get the Mega, right? Reduce the strain on your team, on your supports, to heal. If there's a Mega available, just pick up the Mega. Like, there's no opportunity here, right? Like, your team is, just pop Valk. I think that someone's just responding right now. I think just, did you lose one? I thought you lose one. Oh, it's the Hanzo that died earlier. Yeah, so right now, they're down. The enemy team is down a player. You have Valk going. Get the Mega, right, and then start pushing. But it's really important to get the Mega. Otherwise, like, you're just bleeding off resources right now. Even with Valk, like, chain healing, getting the Mega is more time efficient than waiting for the Valk heal beam. So we look over here. What's our goal? Well, we're not going to be able to really force off the Sigma. If the Sigma doesn't want to get forced off, the Sigma's not going to get forced off. Right? Like, you see how tanky the Sigma is right now? This is not necessarily doing a lot. And I understand that he's also, like, locking after team. So, like, it's okay, but there are other options here that you can potentially pursue as well. Especially if you're full health. Like, you can potentially just fly into the point. They're down a player, right? You can fly into the point and go after the Ana or the Junkrat here, use DM to reduce, like, a lot of the burst damage, and that's going to stretch their team out. Running up here the Sigma is kind of a waste of time. So, Tiger goes out. the reaction to tire should not be to fly at the tire. Like, this is kind of crazy right now. You were very lucky that did not blow up and do a lot of damage, right? Tire is what, 600 damage? Not, actually, with the armor changes, that out is enough to demech you, right? Right now, you could have been demeched by Tire. Getting demeched by D.Va is so bad. Getting demeched as D.Va is worse than dying, because often you are not able to remech in a timely fashion, so it just ends up with massive staggers. It's a very common problem at lower ranks that people playing D.Va just like, they have like one death in the game, but they just have never able to fight because they constantly get demeched. So, you're getting very lucky here, right? So your Hanzo killed one initially, right? Killed the Echo. Then Hanzo doesn't die to this tire, but he kills the enemy Junkrat with Dragon, which is extremely lucky. So your DBS are popping off here. I think blowing the shield up is fine. So we can see the Hanzo engaging, right? So Kitsune is going to get popped here. I think once Grasp gets popped, now you fly up and commit. Because when he's grasping, he's obviously not able to do any damage to you or your team. Now fly past him and go after the Mercy or the Echo. Right now, especially with Kitsune Rush, you should have gone already. Like, you're just a little slow. But you see how you're still targeting the Sigma. The Sigma is not going to die. Right? It's so important to recognize the tanks do not die. Especially at higher ranks, tanks don't die unless they choose to allow themselves to die. Like, this is not a thing that is going to happen. You're not doing anything right now. But we're going to see that once again, your Hanzo kills the Echo, right? Ashe basically kills the Mercy. Like, you do like virtually no damage here. Right? That's a shot from the Hanzo. This Dynamite's killing her no matter what. So, like, technically you got this kill, but, like, you didn't do anything. But, like, it's a good idea that you went up there. I'm just noting that, like, you'll notice that their whole team is just getting picked apart, but it has nothing to do with you. Like, you're literally doing nothing, right? The Sigma is actually getting more value because he's, like, zoning a little more of your team than you are of his. But, like, looking at it from the Hanzo's perspective. Alright, I think he kills the Echo here. Actually, let's go all the way back. Alright, well, he kills the junk right there. Great. Right, tags the Echo. Kills the Echo, that's 2, right? Tags the Mercy, nearly kills her right there. Right? Ashe and Hanzo kill the Mercy, so that's like 2.5 right there. Like, your Hanzo just like straight up won this fight for you. And then the Ashe, I think, kills the after the Mercy dies, she kills the Ana. Right? Like, you're not doing anything. You can't even say, like, oh, I'm creating space. You're really not actually creating space. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize here, is, like, your D.Va play is, like, really ineffective right now. Because you're not threatening enough. Like, you need to go after squishy targets. Like, when I'm identifying earlier... Wow, I can't believe we probably spent, like, 40 minutes and we're only 3 minutes into the game. And there's still a lot more that I'm not talking about. It's just too overwhelming to try to do it all. Okay, so, as I mentioned, right, when you get healed up, like, you can just play low ground here, and you can even fly into point and fight, because, like, they all do so little damage, right? Unless you drop below 50%, as long as you get healed here and go on a point, there's really nothing they can do here to kill you quickly. Just stay above 50% and you're fine. Even if you get low, you can just fly back in here, get Mega, and come back out. Like, it's very, very hard for them to deal with D.Va. D.Va's really strong at taking a position because of how durable she is. And then with DM, you can just choose to not take any damage for 3 seconds. Alright, so, a couple things have gone wrong here. So you're trying to kill the Mercy here, which is good. So, Hanzo's right here. You're at 463 health. So, let's talk about D.Va bombs. But not a lot, because again, interest of time. The short version of this, don't use D.Va bombs to try to get kills. Use D.Va bombs as second lives. Throwing D.Va bombs to get kills is one of the most inconsistent, poorest scaling techniques that you will get into higher ranks. It is very common for D.Va players to play an entire match at higher ranks and not get a single bomb kill. It is very unlikely to kill anybody with bomb at higher ranks. As a result, you should not think about using bombs to get kills. You should use bombs as a second life, because you can get very aggressive, then they demech you, then you pop bomb and suddenly have a new 725 health mech for them to deal with again. It is really, really hard for them to deal with that. That is the general idea of using mechs. Now, using bomb. I will note, there are scenarios where it is the right time to throw bomb. I don't think at your current level it is worth it for us to talk about that. So let's just get past that. But general rule, use bomb to get a second life when you need a second life. And it should be part of your plan too, right? You shouldn't be like, oh wow, I got surprised damaged, I'm gonna pop bomb to remag. It should be, I'm diving in aggressively, taking an aggressive high value spot, then using bomb and already planning out how I'm gonna survive to get the bomb off, then continue the aggression. That's what good D.Va play looks like. Anyway, that's number one. Number two, you don't need to bomb right now. You just cap the point. Your spawn is right here. What? Or you're about to cap the point. There is no way this solo Hanzo is going to walk up the point and stop you from capping. It's just not going to happen, right? Like, you just shoot him in the face right now and you're fine. There's no way that they're going to retake this. This is a terrible ultimate timing. As any hero, it's a bad time to pop this ultimate. So you get a kill here. Again, I'm going to note, like, that kill, A, doesn't matter, gets res right away. But, like, it's not worth it to lose your bomb. Okay, so this is an example of how D.Va can brawl and D.Va can dive. So a key thing for D.Va is understanding what to do when. Right now the card's moving up, you're not gonna have any angles, it's fine. Just play up, right? Just, poke down, try to mitigate damage, push pressure this corner. You need the card to move up and for your team to be ready. So everything here is fine, like there's really not much you can do, right? Wait till the card gets a little closer. Alright, so grass has been popped. Right? You're getting healed. You have all 5 heroes. Now's the moment in time where we're like, okay, now I can do something. Well, what is it something we're going to do? Is it dive into them? No, that's not the kind of hero you are. You cannot do that. You're not a Doomfist. You're not a Ball. You can't just walk in there and have something happen, right? Or even a Reinhardt. So your goal here is, how do I find an angle that the Sigma is not covering? Because Sigma is strongest at forward-backwards fights. Okay? If Sigma can keep the fight in front of him on a map like Circuit Royale or Havana, Sigma is unbelievably good, arguably the best tank in the game. But as soon as Sigma needs to deal multiple directions, he gets much, much worse. So this right here, this is main, right? Which means this is the off angle. So what you're looking for is you want to come this way, right? Or potentially fly this way if you don't think the Sigma's going to rock you, right? And start pressuring the Hanzo out. Because the ultimate goal here is that you're going to push here, which is going to force the Hanzo back, which is going to force the whole team back. Because the Sigma isn't going to stand here, right, while you are standing here and your team is standing here, right? Like, you're just going to shoot him from 2 different directions. He can't mitigate that, and so he's going to be forced to fall back. So the way you push him off this corner is not by damaging him, but by simply getting around him. That's very frustrating to him, and he's eventually going to have to back up. But all this time you waste, like, brawling here is not going to do anything. Like, they actually don't need to back up. If I was them, I would not back up. Right? There's no reason for me to. Because if they back up, it actually runs into the chance that they're not going to have another good fight. So I would force the fight right here. It's not like they're low or anything. But your Ashe ends up picking the Hanzo here. Again, like, your DPS are making all the plays here. Like, you're not doing anything. There's no way you could say, oh, like, you helped make this play happen. You're not doing anything. Right? This is just your DPS just straight up out-skilling the opposition. Again, you're just brawling right now. But remember, you really do not want to be doing this against Sigma. So, again, this is not a good time to keep fighting the Sigma, right? Fly over here, contest the rest of the team. Sigma shouldn't... That's another thing I think about is how little damage Sigma does. Sigma does 75 damage per second. Okay? Not including armor. Let's not even factor armor. It's going to take him almost 10 seconds to demek you, assuming you get no healing. Mercy alone, healing. Mercy, one of the worst healing supports in the game, can almost completely mitigate the damage that Sigma does, right? That would leave you with about, 20-ish damage a second. That would take 40 seconds for him to kill you. Sorry, 20 seconds. No, it's closer to 40, right? Anyway, so Sigma's damage is like irrelevant to tanks, okay? It only matters over the long run, over a long fight where he gets to constantly bleed you for damage and splash your teammates. That's what Sigma wants. He wants the fight to take a really long time and stay at 20 meters away. You want the opposite. You want to be like, oh, hey, I'm really, really durable, but it takes me a long time to get re-healed. I want to dive in on a squishy target and burn them down really, really quickly. That's what you want, right? You want to jump from fight to fight to fight to fight to fight to fight, right? Sigma just wants slow fight, slow fight, slow fight. So you need to engage in a different play style than him in order to be successful. You need to be going after the squishies right now. This is a good example of like, there's not really much you can do here differently. So he's going to pop Grasp. So as he pops Grasp, what I would do is I would separate from my team, right? I would look like, oh, my team's all right. I see, notice that even your team is trying to do the right thing. They're trying to go after the squishies while you're constantly fighting the tank. Right? If your Sigma was smart and just rotated over here, like your team would get absolutely nothing done. But stay apart from your team. Then after it gets popped, then I would go and I fly up and I try to absorb all the damage. Because what you're doing right now is you're like, oh, I'm going to fly up with the Sigma. This is not going to do anything. You're not going to kill the Sigma. Unless he has like 50 health, there's no way you're going to kill a Sigma here. It's really hard to consistently deal damage here. He's also being healed. He's also going to be high up in the air. This is not constructive use of your time. Right? Your two options are save your team, right? Try to save your team with Matrix, or decide to trade out and just try to kill somebody in the opposing team. But going after the Sigma is almost always the wrong call. Unless you have CC, obviously. Alright. So I think you've decided that you're finally going to be aggressive, which is fine because you actually have Bomb here. So I will note is after you get this kill and you fly back, I really don't want to get D-Mech. Like, ideally, like this fight's already won. So really my only key right now is I don't want to get D-Mech so I don't have to use Bomb. So weirdly enough, after you get this kill, I see how low the Sigma is. I immediately just turn and just Matrix the Junkrat and walk backwards. Why? The Sigma's gonna die anyway, right? This fight's already won. I just don't want to lose mech, if at all possible. But doing this allows you to get through attack from the side. I would have just popped Bomb there. Because not having Bomb for the next fight is really bad, because the next fight's gonna happen over here. If you don't have mech when that fight starts, you're gonna be in big trouble. This is a scenario where I'd walk really far forwards in order to try to get mech back. Like, I would be like all the way over here trying to farm mech. See, now Tire comes, you know, mech. Right? This is just like, past mistakes are dooming you now. Like, you really, really, really need to have mech. It would have been worth it to pop Bomb. I mean, granted, it would have been a mistake to lose your mech there at all, but it would have been worth it to pop mech just to make sure that you are Bomb, just to make sure you had mech now, A. B, you could have farmed your ultimate if you'd been more aggressive about the angle. Again, a lot of this stuff comes with time and experience, right? Like, I have, I don't know, 150 plus hours of competitive D.Va experience. So, like, I obviously, like, this stuff comes very natural to me. But if you're new at it, like, you're not going to know any of this stuff, and you're not going to know what to do. But luckily, Mercy can res you. Yeah, definitely go after the Junkrat first. Whenever you see the target this close, immediately pop missiles, unless they have, like, Fade or something, right? I would immediately pop missiles right now. Funny thing here is the best possible play would be pop missiles and hold Matrix. Because A, that prevents him from knocking you away. B, that prevents you from taking damage. C, that prevents him from escaping. Because he can't concuss himself away. So he's probably not going to realize you pop Matrix in time. He's just going to try to Matrix as soon as you pop missiles. And you can just kill him with the missiles straight up right now. It also prevents him getting healed. So that's actually the optimum possible play here. Quick note after killing Junkrat, immediately Matrix to get rid of the post-death explosives right now. Flash Matrix and go back to killing Miana. This is a very common mistake that D.Vas make. Alright. So, once again, this situation where I'm like, hey, I'm pretty sure we're going to win this fight, but, you know, try to not lose mech, right? Really, really important. I would be holding Matrix right now. You have full Matrix, but you start holding Matrix way too late. You're at 135 right now. Like, right now, I'm like, hey, look, as soon as I see the soldier, I pop Matrix, I walk the backside of the cart. And I evaluate and be like, look, do I need to pop Bomb here? So, right now, I look back and be like, okay, I think I actually need to pop Bomb because I'm too low, and I want to make sure that we absolutely cap this. This is again one of the scenarios where popping Bomb is the right call. Where you want the bomb to explode is right here. That way, it's going to hit all parts of the around the shield, and no one can cover from it. Even if they try to walk over to the left, that's going to hit them probably. Now, it is really, really hard to pop that correctly. What you're looking for is probably an angle up like this, and you're going to want a very early pop. You probably want it, so there's like a whole guide on this as well. But like you probably, in terms of boosters, you probably want to pop it like right around there. This is a dial for like how much of your booster you use, right? So the whole thing would be 100%. So you only want about probably this much. So that's going to allow the bomb to come up, and then it's going to come back down, and then it's going to blow up, preferably over the shield. You do have a significant margin of error here, but I would pop bomb right now. Now, you might think, okay, why is it so important to bomb right now? A, Sigma can be quite good, right? With both his literal shields, which will regenerate, and his barrier, which can block damage, and his grasp. He's actually pretty good in these situations to be able to like stay alive for a while. But most importantly, this soldier should almost instantly demac you. At 200 health, you should be demacked right away. And somehow you're not going to get demacked. I'm going to show you from the soldier's perspective just how bad this is. So you're 49, okay, this is fine. He runs in, he gets the mini. As soon as he turns here, he could basically solo win this fight, right? He would just run out to this side and just like kill your ass, right? Instantly, right? Or just stay in here and just demac you. Either one is probably fight winning. Now, I will note, he runs back out. You're in his face. He's going to completely whiff that because he gets bumped. He's going to whiff all that. So he's fired 6 ammo so far. Now he's fired 8 ammo, no hits. Now he helixes himself at point blank, right? And then he finally dies. You were at 45 health. If he hit 3 bullets, you die. 3 out of 8 bullets, he dies here. Or like a melee, right? 1 bullet and a melee and you get demacked. This is insane. You should not, like 100% at like even slightly higher ranks, or even just roll this again, very likely you get demacked here and the soldier doesn't die. So I think throwing bomb here would have been a much safer outcome because you want to make sure you get this cap. And contrast this to the first point when I'm like, hey, you threw bomb, probably like make sure you kept the point. You really were not at any risk of losing that point. Right, with just a Hanzo there and you and 2 supports and all of you were like basically healthy, there's no way that they were going to cap that. This was a totally different scenario. This is one of the best spots, by the way, for D.Va Bomb. So for D.Va Bomb, long, flat areas without cover are really good. So putting a bomb right here kills people in all directions. So it's good that you're trying to kill the soldier. It's bad that you're taking so much damage because you're getting absolutely shredded here by the soldier. Try to eat a lot more of his ammo. I could write an entire guide on this too. Try to eat more of his ammo before you start shooting him, because otherwise he's going to fire all 30 ammo into you, right? At 170 damage a second, not including headshots. And then, like, when you start matrixing, then he's going to reload and run away. So you want to matrix early, right, to discourage him from shooting at you. Because look how much damage you took here. Like, when you start this fight, you're basically full health. Like, you are at 616 health right now. I think it's pretty much the soldier and the Ana hitting you. You dropped all the way down to like 150 there. So you just lost like 450 health for nothing. This is a really, really bad trade, and he farmed ultimate off of you. So you're gonna throw a bomb here, and I honestly would have just been like, it's fine, we just die, right? I would just backed up here, right? Matrix people, play around the corner, right? See if I can save people. If not, just go back, regroup, and fine. Because it's fine. If there's pop flux here, because I don't think we're gonna win this fight. It's not likely, based on the positioning, that we're gonna win this fight. This bomb is gonna work, and it's entirely luck. So you're gonna throw the bomb, and I think your idea here is, oh, I'll try to kill the Sigma who's probably in the air, and blah, blah, blah. He's not gonna be able to shield himself. First of all, yes, he is gonna be able to shield himself, because I don't think we saw him use shield. Right? So he didn't use shield, which means he has shield available off cooldown. A. B, there are actually plenty of spots for people to get to for cover here, right? Like, they can definitely survive in this situation. Now, I'm going to show you both of the deaths. First, I'm going to show you the Sigma death. Can we agree that there is no reason the Sigma should die here? Like, he fluxes, gets the kill, bombs. All he has to do is just drop to the ground and just put the shield up. Like, he has plenty of time. This is not like a very tight timing window or anything. He has plenty of time. Like, you can see, he stopped and even moved around a little bit. This is a very, very easy block, right? He blocks this, then kills, who is this? Your Kiriko, right? Then, goes after trying to demac you or whatever, right? This is a very easy survive. At higher ranks, this simply will not be a kill, right? It won't do anything other than break his shield. And, for the record, that would also save the Ana. B, the Ana. Now, the Ana also dies here, and I don't think the Ana deserves to die either. So D.Va Bomb gets popped. For the record, she actually had enough time to walk into this room, but fine. So she's going to hide right here, and she's going to die to this. And this is actually very surprising that this kills her. My best guess, I don't even know. I don't even know why this kills her. I was assuming that, like, maybe her butt was sticking out on the opposite side. Like, I have no idea why this killed her. But I would say this Ana does not deserve to die. As a tank player, I will still say that I don't think the Ana deserves to die here. This is like absolutely ridiculous. So, again, very lucky geometry here. You shouldn't have gotten either one of those kills. You would have wasted your ultimate for nothing. Alright. So, they're all pretty staggered here. So, they have Zarya now. Again, don't want to mess with Zarya. It's fine. Just go after the Symmetra here. Yep, you see that she's low. You go after her. Great. So when you come back, you're thinking, oh, let me kill the Zarya. I would not worry about the Zarya. I would look, hey, who else is out here? The Ana. Like, I feel like you can see now, the Ana is the correct target here, not the Zarya. Trying to kill the Zarya here is like impossible. Between the Mercy healing, the Ana healing, that's like 160 health a second. You're not going to kill the Zarya here, right? Plus the bubbles that are going to come up, plus cover. Just go after the Ana. The second you go after the Ana, like, things get completely different. Trying to kill Mercies in the air is not worth it. It is possible. I'm not gonna talk about it. It's a waste of time. It is a rare but possible technique. It's not worth it at your current level. All right. So you did a good job here, turning for the visor. Right. You block it off, missile him. Great. Get him. Your melees are consistently a little late, by the way. I can see that you're all up meleeing like after they're dead, or like when they're much lower than 40. I think this bomb is totally fine. Yeah, like, yeah, because you can get back there, right? Force her back. She doesn't have bubbles. Great, excellent. And we're capped. Okay. Sigma. Man, this video is going to be so long. All right. So, the short answer is, I don't think Sigma is great here. So at the high range, people do play Sigma on this point, mostly because he's better for the second point, but I don't think Sigma is great here, A. B, if you are going to play Sigma, I don't think you should be playing Sigma here. Because there are effectively 4 different lanes that you need to control as a tank, right? You have lane number 1, right, which is main. You have this lane, which is upper. You have this lane, right, which is lower. And then you have this lane, which is coast. So, let's think about it. From your current position, what can you contest? You can only contest main from this position. If they go any of the other options, you can't do anything. They can't do anything lower, you can't do anything with coast. Upper, you can sort of spam them a little bit, but as long as they have any damage mitigation or they're fast, they'll easily get out of your range and get over to here, and then you're screwed. This is why, if you are going to play Sigma here, you should actually be playing Sigma here. This is the most common setup for Brawl tanks, is that they will set up right here, because then you have the ability to shut down upper for sure. This is the best possible position for upper. You can drop on main if you need to, or spam it if you're Sigma. You can drop this way, or spam it if they go coast, and you can drop here, right, or here if you need to deal with lower. So this spot is much more flexible for tanks that don't have mobility. There are reasons to be playing left side as a tank. Most commonly, I think like Doomfist, for example, would often set up over there on left side, but if you're playing a relatively immobile tank, like an Orisa, a Zarya, a Reinhardt, Sigma, Junker Queen, you should be setting up here, right? This upper platform. I think your positioning is already a mistake, and we're going to see that right away. So they start going, and as soon as they start going, I would also start rotating, because there's nothing I can do here. Even if they go upper, you can't stop them. There's no way you can stop them from walking through this. I'd already be dropping to the point. I wouldn't be here to begin with, but I'd be dropping to the point already and being like, okay, what can I do to stop them now? But they're definitely going lower. Like, you can see them. You 100% need to be dropping right now. There's an aspect of your play on Sigma where you're not attracting enough threat because you are really far back. Think about it. If you're an enemy and you walk out through this door, who's the first person you shoot? The Ana. Who's the second person you shoot? The Hanzo. Third person? Pharah, probably? Fourth person? Kiriko. Last person? Sigma. This is bad. As a tank, you want them to be shooting at you. Every bullet shot at you is a bullet that doesn't get shot at a squishy hero. So if you play in a low threat position, you don't attract any aggro, which means your teammates get killed. Sooner or later, they die. You're playing way too conservatively right now. For a hero that has so much damage mitigation, you need to be playing much further up. Right? That's a general rule, by the way, for all tanks. See, you're playing like really slow and conservative. But like, you notice that everybody's walking off the point because it's scary. Whose job is it to contest the point? It's your job. And I think this is kind of a carryover when you play another role, where you play support, or you play DPS, you play much more passively than you should be. You need to be playing way up. Like, if I'm Sigma, I'm playing right here, because I just want to lock down this doorway and make it really hard for them to get through. I'm splashing everybody, doing a ton of damage, forcing cooldowns, whatever it ends up being. Right? But you see that your Hanzo is the one who's effectively playing tank right now. I think we can all look at this and be like, your Hanzo is the tank of your team right now. But that's very risky, because Hanzo has very low health, and he doesn't have good escape techniques. So, like abilities. So, if he gets picked here, you're in big trouble. It's very lucky that he doesn't. This shield does nothing. And I think you realize that you're like, okay, this shield is not going to be helpful at all. You should be here. I know it's like, oh, it sucks because it takes forever to get back up, but it's fine. It's not your job to hold the high ground. Like, especially against this lineup where they didn't care about high ground. It's not your job to be like, oh, I gotta make sure they don't take this away from my team. Your team's safe up here. You need to be down there preventing point progress. Alright, you missed the rock, unfortunate. So, what you're looking for here, I mean, granted, the Orisa's already died, so you want to drop and you want to play this corner right here. This corner, combined with grasp, shield, and then natural cover, you can stay alive a long time and stall at the point. But once again, your DPS are popping up. Your Hanzo's like playing really well. I feel bad that your Hanzo doesn't end up winning this game. It's a draw for viewers. But like your Hanzo's like absolutely carrying. Alright, same problem, right? You're set up over here, but once again, they just ignore you. They should ignore you at least. So, you hear right there, you hear the footsteps of the soldier, and I would have turned right away. The D.Va is not a credible threat. Like, if you look at this, you think, hey, who's going to win this fight? Is it D.Va? No. What can D.Va do? Right? Even without shield, she can't do anything from here. The soldier on your flank is the only one who can win this fight, because he can get a pick very, very quickly. So I would flip right now and immediately putting pressure on him, shield him off, rock him, whatever it is, anything that's not shooting the D.Va. Alright? So it goes off. So now, yeah, sure. Now I see the soldier again. I turn to the right, and once again, the soldier is the threat. The D.Va is not a threat to anyone right now, including me. The soldier is the only threat here. So, D.Va plus soldier end up killing your Pharah. Hanzo ends up getting another pick on the Junkrat. So, I would be aiming for the soldier right now. Why? The soldier is low, right? And the soldier has no healing. There's no support that can see him right now. So, I would 100% be trying to kill the soldier. Don't try to kill the full health support, just kill the soldier. The soldier's even jumping around. This is so easy to kill. This is like a really easy kill right now. Alright, so you drop on the point. So what's our goal right now? Well, we lost one. Okay, so it's a 4-4 situation. But the good news is we have shorter spawn. And they have longer spawn. So my goal here is just prevent point progress and stall it out as long as I can. If I had low health, I would stay up here until I got healed. But at high health, I'd be okay just dropping down right away. Again, drop down, right? And just try to play here and try to stay alive. The thing is your supports are in a tricky angle to heal you. So you want to play like a little further up, probably like closer to the cart. That way they can heal you easily. But other than that, your goal should be prevent point progress. But you need your shield. Don't shield when they're not even shooting at you. Right? Like, what's the shield for? Oh, like you got, what, dinged a little bit from 20 damage at the soldier? Who cares? Tanks can take damage without needing to use their abilities, right? Your goal as tank, and I say this a lot in a lot of videos, your goal as tank is not to take as little damage as possible. Your goal as tank is to take as much damage as possible without dying and still doing your job. Because the worst feeling for the enemy team is when they commit to try to kill you and they still can't. But when you put up the shield early, the soldier, like, let's imagine this wasn't here, right? The soldier's like, oh, you put up a shield? Great, now I'm going to kill somebody else on your team. You want the soldier to be shooting you, not your teammates. That is the whole point of playing tank. So you really need to take your shield back right now, because you need that shield, right? Like, desperately need that shield. This is a scenario where I would not grasp. You want to use grasp when there's a lot of damage coming in, and especially if it's consistent, like a projectile, like Pharah Rocket, Junkrat Mines, etc. Right now, soldier's just barely tickling you. I would just put shield here, if anything, and be totally fine. So this is what you save rock for, is to take out the Moira, but you don't have it. But like you see, like kind of how helpless you are right here. Oh, missing that shot's brutal. You need to get consistent at doing the. This is a one shot. Numbers keep changing. I think it's a one shot combo again, right? Melee shot, or sorry, rock shot melee insta kills 250 health heroes. But yeah. Anyway, that's another technique that you're going to need to do if you want to play Sigma, which I would recommend. Sigma is a very, very strong, versatile hero on a lot of maps, so it's good to get good at Sigma. So, A, we see that you're just whiffing everybody on the point and not doing anything. B, when you pop ultimate, it is very common as Sigma for lower rank players to get greedy and try to get multiple heroes. Don't do it. Just get one or two definitely consistently. Just center it on these two and you're good. So you're going to try to put in the middle. The problem is there's a delay after you pop it, and that a lot of heroes can actually get out of it. Even from the center, they can get out of it if you pop it like that. So, like you see right here, you're going to whiff everybody with your ultimate, which is brutal. That gives you no chance now to win this fight. All right, so you've got Zarya. I don't really know why we go Zarya. I guess you think you're going to counter the D.Va here, but like Sigma's totally fine here against D.Va, and I think you need to avoid, especially if you're like trying to figure out your hero pool right now, avoid getting into the counter watch perspective, right? Where you're like, oh hey, they switch to this, so I switch to that, and then they switch to counter me, and I switch to counter them. Counters are not nearly as strong as people like to present it as. Like, are there advantages? Absolutely, right? But ultimate is also a thing that is important. Now, granted, here you just used your ultimate, but like map design is also important here too. I think Sigma's actually better here for this section of the map than Zarya would be. So there's so much I could talk about for Zarya. I would say number one thing right here is, so when D.Va Bomb goes off, it's very common for Zarya to be like, oh, this is a good opportunity to get energy. But you also have to think, am I going to die? Not to the bomb, but to everybody else who's shooting at me, because you're 218 health. So I'm not using this as an opportunity to get energy off the bomb. I'm using this opportunity to hide. Right? I don't even know that I'm going to pop bubble at all for the bomb. I'm using popping bubble so I can get into cover, get healed, and recontest. Trying to walk out here and be like, oh, sweet, I got energy, and now you're going to die. So there's a really good saying from A10 that I like, which is, don't use bubbles for energy. Use bubbles for space. Right? Trade bubbles for space, not energy. What does that mean? It means, oh, the enemy's spamming at you? Don't just put bubble just to get energy. Push the enemy, right, with your beam. Then, when they start shooting at you, use the bubble to keep shooting at them. Same idea as Winston bubble, right? You use the bubble so that you can keep applying pressure to the team, not just to farm energy. It's a little more complicated than that, but like, I think as a general tip, that's what I would say, right? That's probably one of the best overall tips for Zarya. Trade bubbles for space, not energy. So in this scenario, let's think about this. Am I trading this bubble for space? Does this bubble allow me to pressure the enemy? No. This bubble is only to get energy, right? Or maybe to stay alive, which is part of space. But if I'm popping bubble for space, I'm using that to get inside. Because that space, this gives me this space safely that I can get inside the room. Then I come back out and I re-aggress. Walking towards the bomb tells me you're using your bubble for energy, which is really, really, really bad. It's a bad habit to get into. Because what happens is that you're going to be a really high energy Zarya with high damage, and you're going to lose games. Because you keep dying at inopportune times. It'll be like, you'll be very feast or famine, right? One fight you'll be 100 energy, you'll kill everybody, and one fight you'll do that. You'll be 100 energy and you'll die right away, because you just don't know how to use bubbles to stay alive. As Zarya right clicks are absolutely massive, you need to right click all the time to farm grav. So like, you notice how you're reloading right now at 75? Don't. Just right click the whole ammo out. Obviously right now when you're super low you can do it, but... Alright, so Winston's here. Alright, yeah, back up, right? This is bubbling for space. But hey, look, I only have one bubble here. I've lost a teammate, right? I want to play cover here. Just slow down. Slow way down. Also, your bubbles are off. Yeah, good job on the soldier, right? Now back up. That's fine. So, Winston's jumping in here. Let's think. You have, presumably, a good amount of Overwatch experience on Tracer, DPS, if nothing else, a non-tank. If you look at this, do you think this Winston is about to kill my backline? No, right? Like, your team is basically, both your supports are full health. They're right on top of each other. The Winston is really far from his team. No one here is gonna die. Don't bubble here, right? This is a really, really bad time to bubble. And I know that when you have tools that can help your teammates, you think, oh, I should use it to help them. 90% of your bubbles are gonna be for you, right? You very rarely bubble your teammates. There are times, and those times are huge, but very rarely should you be bubbling teammates. Because generally speaking, your teammates aren't expecting to get bubbled, which means that they already have a plan to live without the bubble. It's not like everyone in the game would die without Zarya bubbles, right? Obviously, in order to get to this level, they need to understand how to survive without Zarya bubbles. So no one is expecting a Zarya bubble unless you communicated about it in voice chat or whatever, right? So everyone here already has plans for like, oh, okay, Winston's diving, we're good. We're gonna survive. They already knew there was a Winston. The Winston's not a surprise. It's not like you know, you're on offense and a Bastion comes out of spawn so it's blowing somebody up. Like, that's unusual, right? That's a switch. But in this scenario, everybody knows there's a Winston. They know how to play against Winston. They immediately get out of range, and they're fine. Like, this bubble is unnecessary. I want to show you how little energy you get out of this, right? So we're at 68 right now, 67. You pop bubble, you get 5 energy out of it. Instead of, what is it, 40, 45 now? It keeps getting buffed. This is not good. This is terrible. This is like one of the worst possible bubbles that you could do. And this means is now you don't have the bubble for you, and you don't get energy, and their team ends up pushing forwards. The correct response here is either we all pull back, right, and we all just kind of stay out of range of the Winston, or I continue holding this corner, which is a risk, right? Especially at 337, it's definitely a risk. But like having killed the soldier here, I think there is a reasonable argument that you could try to fight this out over here, right? Really, the Hanzo is like the only person here who can consistently deal damage to you. I think one bubble here on yourself, and you can just blow up the Hanzo, and then you just solo carry this. Zarya has enormous solo carry potential, right? Probably the highest of all the tanks when she's high energy. She could just literally kill all three of these heroes right here. Just one bubble, good tracking, you can just kill everybody. Don't worry about the Winston, it's not your job. And from here, okay, you come out, you bubble. Alright, just chasing people down. As a note on mechanics, so for Zarya, you want to right-click as low as your ammo can get, because right-click always does the same amount of damage, but it takes 25 ammo. But if you have less than 25 ammo, it just consumes whatever's remaining. So ideally, every Zarya player, optimal play, is you beam against a single target. You beam for 99, and then you right-click at 1 ammo. It gives you the most amount of damage per mag, which is really important to optimize. Zarya is like the most damage efficiency focused tank as it is. You're trying to get as much damage as you can out of every single mag of your gun, right? That's like the way to like play it really, really effectively. All right, so I'm gonna beam here. Yeah, that's fine. Right click, just beam out shield. Yeah, beam out shield's good value. I would not bubble here. So why would I not bubble? Right? Everything you do is based upon your current health, the amount of energy you have, and the amount of bubbles you have. So when you already have high energy, you don't really want to pop bubbles, right? Because you're already pretty dangerous. At 51 health, at 51 energy, you're doing about 150 DPS, right? You don't really need more energy right now. What you need is more survivability. So from this perspective, I know they're going to be pushing in, because they have to. I want to save the bubbles for when it really matters. So especially since I don't have that second bubble right now, I just want to play safe. But you see right here, you're like, oh, hey, the Cassie's out here. You bubble. He's not really, he had roll there, right? Your supports are there. I don't bubble in that situation. This causes your Cassie to be like, oh, okay, I got bubbled. Now I got to walk forward to get value here. But this means your Cassie's further forward than maybe he wants to be because he's trying to help you out to get energy. So now you have 0 bubbles as they push in. This is a really, really bad timing for this to happen, right? And now your Hanzo gets killed. So that is a good example of a moment where it actually would be worth it. Your Hanzo definitely was not expecting to get rocked. If you can jump over here and bubble him, that's a save. That's a good example of when you use bubbles on teammates when they are not expecting it. So you use it for unexpected things that are outside of their control to deal with. All right, so you're beating on the soldier right here. Soldier's dead. Here, reload. So one thing to note right now is, okay, Sigma's up, right? They pop Coalescence. There is a reasonable argument that if you think you're going to lose the fight, you should actually grab right now. There's a good chance the Moira is going to dodge this. At this rank, probably not. But the Moira may dodge this. But that's okay, because you can definitely kill the Zarya with it and then run over and kill the Moira after. Right? So I think if you think, I'm going to lose this fight, you should just grab the 2 in the backline right away. I don't necessarily know that I would think that I'm going to lose this fight, though. But so now I'm getting very concerned, because now I've lost both DPS, so now there's no damage that's coming out anymore. So from here, I'm like, okay, cool. We now need to be backing way up. Like, I don't even pause. Don't even look at the pylon. Just get way back, because you need to maintain your energy. Grabbing right now is insane, because it's just you 2 against 4 heroes here. All of them were healthy. Like, there's not even a reason, honestly, for the Zarya to die here. The Moira could just turn and heal her, and she'd be good. At higher ranks, like, the Zarya just literally doesn't die, because the Moira would just heal. There's no reason for the Zarya to die right now. And then from here, you're, of course, screwed. As a note, if you had more bubbles, this changes dramatically, right? One more bubble here is massive. And, of course, you can't get back up to contest. All right. D.Va final push. So you're finally set up on the right spot, which is great. Right? Their D.Va just suicides her life here for no reason. They like, don't even make a real push here. It's like kind of embarrassing. That's right. D.Va just suicides her life. They stagger for like 30 plus seconds. And come again. Now the Moira is just going to suicide. Right? She's literally just going to walk forward. For the record, she has Fade here and Healing Orb. She just walks onto the orb and onto the point and just dies. Like, there's 35 seconds left. What is the Moira doing? This is like worse than bronze. Anyway, without the Moira, they have no healing, and so you just kind of hold everybody off, and that's basically it, and it's a draw. Okay, so we covered a lot of heroes, right? Overarching themes, I think you need to target squishies more, right? You definitely need to target squishies more, and you need to be, I think especially on Sigma, you need to be more aggressive, right? But like targeting squishies more, being in the right position, maybe let's just look at that, right? Targeting squishies more, being in the right position for the hero that you're playing, which is very different for each hero and your composition and the map and the enemy composition, right? But that comes with like experience and time playing all these heroes and learning all that stuff, as well as all the hero-specific techniques that you need to learn as well. Okay, I'm gonna hold there. Hopefully it's helpful.